or depending where you are in the world, to get going. And I'll make a few introductions. All right, just 10 more seconds, then we'll fire away. Good stuff. Cool. All right. Well, thank you for joining us today. So I'm Aaron Poulton. I look after business development here at All2. And we've also got Darren Carpenter on the line as well. So Darren heads up customer technical success here at All2. And we're going to talk to you for the next, it's going to be quite a snappy one today, 15 to 20 minutes on spam causing issues in Salesforce. Essentially, it's been a hot topic for a few of our customers at the moment. So the agenda today is, who is this for? To check that you're all in the right place. We'll kind of detail the problem that we're solving. We'll jump to the solution, and then I've just got a little conclusion and call to action at the end. So who's this for? It's actually anyone working in the Salesforce ecosystem, anyone who's slightly interested in Salesforce as well, but also operational and business leaders is quite important for those as well, which I'll come on to in the next slide. So what is the problem? So we're hearing this a lot. But spam, junk, and actually just irrelevant emails are flooding Salesforce. They're getting to the wrong place. And the thing is, they're getting even more sophisticated. So why is this a problem? And just on the sophistication point, actually, so that they're getting so sophisticated that they're kind of getting around regex, regular expression, etc. So that's brought us to this particular use case. So why is it a problem? Every piece of spam or a relevant email that gets to a rep or an agent is time wasted. And this is a big one. Inaccurate data is impacting sound decision making in businesses. If you can't trust the data coming in your org, then how can you make sound decisions? And that's a big thing we see. And then lastly, the storage limits are pushed. And typically our customers are large enterprise, and they'll have massive limits. But we've also seen large customers who are absolutely swamped with spam and attachments, which they're struggling to drop as well. So it's a problem. And we're going to talk about a little bit of a scenario here, an example. This is a dashboard, and this shows I'm a sales leader, so it's a sales team's dashboard, and it's a view on sales leads over the past 7 days and what status they're in, for instance. Because we're using our spam detection, we can see that 308 of those, so 12% of those leads are junk, are spam. And if we just do like some quick math here, if we assume that each rep is spending anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes triaging these leads and then filing them away as junk, that's anywhere between 25 to 50 hours wasted every single week. So you're looking at 1.2 of a sales rep or an agent, if we're talking cases, that has gone every week just based off that example. So I'm hoping that really highlights the problem that we're hearing with some of our customers that's kind of prompted this webinar. I'll move on to the solution. This kind of tees up a little bit who we are and what you're going to see in the following slides. But it all starts with our 5-star rated app, Email to Anything. So we can automatically create and update any object in Salesforce, and that's both from inbound emails or emails that are sent from Salesforce. So we can actually count Salesforce as a customer of Email to Anything, and they're using this to improve their own users' adoption of Salesforce. So it starts there with E2A. We then bring in what we call smart actions, and we can trigger any action at any point. And the key thing here is all achieved via point and click, so no code or flow-based configuration, essentially. And lastly, we'll show you on the little bit of the demonstration are our AI services, which are ready to use now. So you can call any AI model to detect any junk spam before they create a lead or a case, for instance, or any other object. But that's the important piece. We're detecting it at the source, and we're not actioning it, essentially. So we're not even getting to a human to waste their time, effectively. All right. I'm going to hand over to Darren to take us through a few slides, a little bit more on the solution, on the how. Over to you, Darren.
Thanks, Johan. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so we're going to start with the E2A services that Aaron introduced. This is going to be the core of this particular solution, again, using what we have available now to do this spam detection. So what we're looking at here are our E2A services, and you can see that there's a couple of things I'd like to point out. Just hit next. So the first one is we are not a provider of AI AI models or AI providers. We use what is ever available out there today. So the first thing is you can configure which AI provider you want to use. It gives you massive flexibility. Obviously, you can choose existing models that are available. Many of our customers are building their own model, which is fantastic. Then your responses are really customized to yourselves. But the idea is you can configure a provider during runtime even, and you'll see later you can even configure different providers for different prompts as well. Just next. The second thing we're going to look at in a little bit more detail are the prompts themselves. Next slide. Thanks, Aaron. The first things about a prompt, as you'll see, we do actually now support. You can see there we've got the chat completion. We do now support the assistant models as well, which are a fantastic way to have that system in the middle of a public LLM and a LLM that's being configured on your own data. An assistant allows you to work somewhere in the middle of that. You give that assistant data and it works on your data alone. So we do support assistants as well. But yes, as Aaron has highlighted there, each of the prompts can pick a different model as well, which again is fantastic. Models come out quite regularly. Being able to choose those models per prompt gives you a lot of flexibility. And also, as models change, you want to make sure that your prompts are consistent with a particular model. So a new model may come up, but I may want to use an older model for a particular prompt that I've been given there. So a lot of flexibility in choosing your prompt and your provider types. Next slide. Thanks. Now, sorry, this is going to be awkward. Next as well, just hit next. There are 3 steps building to build the prompts in our AI services. The first one I'm sure everyone is familiar with when they're looking at LLMs is the actual body of the prompt itself. Here's where you specify what do I want. What information am I going to extract? Who do I want to act as? What do I want there? The second area that's been highlighted there is really critical. This is really one of those value adds that we add because we know we're working in Salesforce. When we're going to ask this prompt, we're going to say, give me back structured data. So give me back data that Salesforce understands. And you can see in this example, we're returning a checkbox, which is a Salesforce terminology, and we're returning text. We can even specify pick list values as well. So you're basically telling the LLM, yes, do this evaluation, but return me something that I can use straight away in Salesforce. So in this case, I'm going to get a checkbox, true or false, and I'm also going to get a text line, which is going to tell me just a justification that I can use for the debugging. That's very powerful, and you'll see when we move into the last step, when we look at how that interacts with Salesforce. The final bit that's been highlighted there is obviously these prompts are running in real time. You're passing data to it on demand. And again, because we're working in Salesforce, we understand the concepts, the idea of a context. In this case, we're using the email message as a context. So we're saying, okay, I'm not going to give you the whole email message. I'm going to tell you which fields I'm going to give you from the object as well. Which again makes sure that you're not passing these models all of the data. You control exactly what information I'm going to pass to the model in real time. Next. Here's an example of how it works. Here's a typical spam that I'm sure everyone has seen. Just next slide. So what we can do, again, within our AI services, we've got this great feature which allows you to test the prompt at this point. So as you're building the prompts, you can test them. You don't have to, put them into a live environment. You can test them here and now. So what we've done is we've tested that record that you just saw there, and you can see it's returned the justification, which is what we asked for, which is going to give me a justification as why it's chosen. And the important one there is returned is spam as a checkbox, and in this case, it's returned true. So you can see there. This really allows you to concentrate on the data coming out. You don't have to worry about it going to return in rubbish, etc. It's guaranteeing it's only going to return me true or false, and it'll tell me why it returned me true or false at the same time as well. Next slide, thanks. Okay, now finally, how does that fit into our solutions? How do you then make that real? And there's a couple of ways you can do this. What we're looking at here is a component that Aaron introduced, which is E2A. E2A is a way in which you're basically ingesting those emails from any source and populating any source. And what we're seeing here is what we call in the action section, so the plugin action section. If you just hit next there, Aaron, thanks. So you can see what we're doing now. Before the object is created, we're going to say, hey, go away, use that prompt that I've just created, and update something on the field on the object to say, is this worthwhile to proceed? So you can see there in small letters, it's updating a field called is spam, which is going to be set to true or false. So again, that interaction or that integration back into Salesforce is very smooth and very easy. So which is why when Aaron introduced it, this is something you can do now. The components are there now, and it's easy to integrate. When you're integrating this, you're not reinventing, you're not bringing in any complex steps. You're adding this additional step to your existing flow. So to add this additional step, which is, hey, go away to the LLM, get the LLM just to decide one thing: spam, yes, no. That's all I want from you. In this case, it's spam. Okay, I'm going to reject it. So next slide there, Aaron. The other way that we've introduced as well, because as Aaron described, the action section is part of E2A, but it's also separate. So you can actually call these actions in real time. Dynamically whenever you want to call these actions. And again, this is very powerful because yes, it's fantastic to have a flow, and yes, it would be great if when an email came in, an object is created and it doesn't change. By calling these actions on demand, it allows you to go back and say, okay, maybe I've changed something on the object. In this case, it's a lead. Maybe I've changed, and I want to reevaluate. Is this spam? So again, I'm going to call this action on demand, and it's going to be calling the same action, the same prompt. It's going to do this the same as what you saw in the prompt earlier, and then evaluating and then updating. In this case, it's a lead. So a very powerful way in which you can then have these on demand. So you're not always driven by a process. I can at any time go back and say, okay, can you reevaluate this lead or this case with the updated information, and it will do the same, and it will detect spam or not at any point. Thanks, Aaron.
I said it'd be snappy today, but yeah, I'm just going to wrap it up in terms of a bit of a conclusion and a little call to action as well. So I think the key takeaways are spam and junk emails are getting so much more sophisticated, and they are getting past filters, for instance, and taking up IT's time on trying to decode this. And of course, it's wasting your time. Every case or lead that is spam or junk or duplication that is getting to team members is a waste of their time. But also, we're creating unreliable data by allowing spam and junk to get into Salesforce as well. Bit of fun. Well, the results might not be fun for you as well, but over on the right here, there's a QR code for a junk spam calculator, basically to calculate how much time that you might be wasting every week on sifting through this. And then just a couple other CTAs really is that you can use AI today through our AI services to detect spam. It's just one use case. You can do pretty much anything, but this webinar is just focusing on spam detection, obviously today, but it's ready. It's ready to go. And lastly, another QR code over here onto the right. book a discovery call with us if you've got anything in mind, either at your own business or as a consultant, and you just want to bounce a few things off of us. We're here. We're willing to listen and see if we can help. So yeah, short, snappy today, but thank you for joining. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another webinar. All right. Bye, everyone.